Hey guys, Dunme here to talk about the newest Pokemon for Pokemon Unite, Blissey. Blissey looks to be a very powerful new supporter Pokemon. It has a lot of abilities to pocket an individual and sustain them and make them much more powerful. Depending on how the stats actually end up being, this Pokemon, in my opinion, could potentially be meta right away. So, moving straight into it, we'll talk about the ability. It's a very solid ability that will allow it to maintain its uptime. It removes all status conditions from it. Of course, the ability is on a cooldown, so it won't be activating permanently, but this will allow Blissey to avoid being tracked down by Gengar, for example, when it gets poisoned and hit with Hex multiple times, as it normally would. Or it could potentially allow it to walk out early from a Wigglytuff sleep and use its healing abilities or its sustain abilities to pocket one of its teammates. So, to start off with Blissey, Blissey has an ability called Pound. It's a pretty standard ability, does some damage, slows them down, nothing too crazy. But then we're starting to get into what is the foundation of Blissey. Blissey has Heal Pulse. It restores the user's HP, and it picks an ally and restores their HP also. Blissey differs from Eldegoss in one particular way, is that Eldegoss's abilities are mostly mass healing, while Blissey's seem to all be solo heal. Starting off with Helping Hand, this one is the one ability that it has that is for a group. It says, for a short time, it greatly increases the user's and nearby allied Pokemon's movement speed and basic attack speed. What this essentially does is it enables it to basically just give a mass buff to everybody on its team. Movement speed and basic attack speed are just crazy when buffed. If the numbers are high enough, this could make it extremely powerful. Imagine having a Cinderace just standing in the back of your team, having its damage increased even more, having a whole team rotation be that much faster, etc. It looks to also have a solid self buff with this ability, where all of its moves become boosted auto attacks when it's using this. So that seems to be a bit powerful. Also, it says it increases the damage of basic attacks while this move's effects last on its upgraded form. I would assume that's for its auto attack and not for its teammates. If it's for its teammates, that sounds absolutely insane, but likely for itself. The other option for level 4 move is Egg Bomb. It hurls an egg at the designated location. The egg then explodes, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect and throwing them. It also decreases the opponent's move speed when it gets to a higher level. This seems like a solid option. It doesn't seem to me like it would be much better than Helping Hand, because Helping Hand frankly seems insane. But this could potentially also, based on the numbers, be a quite powerful option. For the level 6 move, you start off with Heal Bell as an option. It says removes all status conditions from the designated ally Pokemon and makes it immune to hindrances for a short time. This is very powerful. This leans heavily into Blissey's options of pocket healing things and pocket supporting something. For example, at the end of the game, when you have your Garchomp up and ready to fight, you could constantly pop this onto him and have him just go absolutely crazy in the enemy team, and there's nothing they can do. He'll be completely immune and completely unable to be stunned. In addition to that, when it upgrades at a higher level, it grants the ally a shield too. So if you wanted even more benefit for using this item, for this ability, then there's just that. The other option is Soft Boiled. Throws an egg to an allied Pokemon, restoring its HP as well as the user's. A maximum of 3 uses can be kept and reserved for this move. So you got 3 pocket healing throws. Depending on the healing capabilities of this might be better than Heal Bell, but honestly, if we're looking at things, it looks like Helping Hand and Heal Bell seem to be the best options. They don't actually heal, but they do grant a super powerful capability to, or just absolutely just busting up the stats of your own team. Absolutely high level. Moving on to the last Unite move, we have the user dashes to the designated ally Pokemon and gives it an egg, granting that Pokemon a shield and increasing its attack and special attack. The user also intercepts a portion of the damage received by that Pokemon for a short time, while dashing the user's throws nearby opposing Pokemon and those it comes in contact with. This sounds to me absolutely crazy. Not only are we giving a shield to a Pokemon of your choice and making it much more powerful, you can also hit a nice little dash and stun through that whole process. So you could intentionally position yourself in an aggressive way and then use it onto your high damage Lucario or Garchomp or even your Cinderace to make it more or less invulnerable, and super high damage and stun them in the whole process. That's basically the core things that we have for Blissey here in regards to its moves, but this character sounds kind of insane. As I mentioned, it'll be dropping on the 18th, and I'm very excited to give it a nice little check over. I don't see this character being particularly poor at the start of its drop. One, because I do expect it to be very powerful when it drops. But more importantly, I see a lot of the stuff in the way that the moves are described as being something that can't particularly be nerfed. For example, it's not just like raw healing stats. It would be like increasing movements, like increasing an ally Pokemon's movement speed and basic attack speed, increasing like all these base stats that just sound to me immediately really strong, removing all status conditions from an ally, making them immune. They all tend to have these consistent like time periods that are pretty common in Pokemon Unite and tend to have like similar numbers. I don't foresee it just being like a Pokemon that'll drop and not do enough healing or not do enough damage. So I think you're rather safe in picking this Pokemon up. Rumors are that it'll be 6,000 coins, so hopefully we're getting it for 6,000, though I could see them dropping it at about 8 to 10,000 also. Alright guys, we were given a 30-second video by the Pokemon Company here, showcasing Blissey's abilities. So I'm going to go through that really quick and see what we can get from this. Starting off, we have this ability right here is actually its Heal Bell. As you can see, the Lucario gets a shield, and it takes away the poison which was on Lucario. This is a pretty obvious example of what I talked about. If this Lucario is running around being constantly poisoned, this Gengar can very likely hit him with the Hex that he's using, and constantly dash reset onto him about 4 or 5 times, and likely the Gengar is going to win this fight. But with the Blissey, it essentially allows the Blissey to completely counter the Lucario's ability. In this sort of a situation, it's going to force the Gengar to hit 2 or 3 enemies with its poison ability, or to actually be able to get its Hex going off. This would be if it was playing against a Blissey. So, like I said, Blissey, very powerful, very good abilities, very solid counter to characters like Gengar. Alright, moving on. Bring happiness with your excellent support. Alright, nice meme, Pokemon Company. Nice meme. With our beautiful egg-shaped little creature here. So, we got the egg tossing ability here. Obviously, it shows it one-shotting the Buffalant, but let's be honest, the chances that it actually does that much damage are absolutely 0. Something I noticed here, you see the Gengar hit the Blissey with the poison ability, and it lasts for like about 1.5 seconds before the self-heal goes off. You'll see it here, it heals itself there, but it takes a little bit of time there. And there was the ultimate ability. It shows it hitting through the Lucario and sending it up in the air. It didn't last particularly long. I'll show that again. Ult goes off, hits it up in the air. It doesn't last for that long, but it's still a meaningful knockup in this game. And yeah, guys, that's what we have to see for now. I'm gonna go on ahead and talk about the rest of that too. So, what are my final conclusions about Blissey? And how should Blissey be played? So Blissey, like I mentioned, is a pocket healer and pocket support. When should you be really going Blissey? Ideally, the best times to be going Blissey is when there's something on your team or a character you're laning with that you know that you can hard pocket. One of the better Pokemon to be doing this with are something that want to engage, such as a Lucario or a Garchomp. But even something such as a Cinderace, which doesn't want to be close in the fight, still gets a huge benefit from the boosted attack speed from Helping Hand. Blissey should be played in a way where she's constantly playing from the edge, not particularly looking to get into the fight until things are looking to be a cleanup. and she should be looking to pop her heal pulse on something she wants to save during early lane, and her heal bell and helping hand later on. Helping hand is very useful in a group. You should always be saving your helping hand ability for when there's multiple people on your team that want to take advantage of it, assuming that there are multiple people with you. If there's only one, it's of course a good option to use it when your teammate's with you. Even though it buffs your own abilities and gives them boosted attacks, you don't really want to be using this by itself. If you're completely alone, go for it, but ideally you want to be using this in addition to support a teammate. Blissey likely will have low damage and will likely not be a character that wants to be fragging by itself. So make sure that you're using this with a teammate. Make sure you're holding your cooldowns to support a teammate and make them as powerful as they can. Also try and do it as consistently as possible so that your teammates are expecting you to be supporting them in such a way and are able to play more aggressively. So in addition, we have, as I mentioned, heal bell. Heal bell is something that, while yes, it can remove status conditions, you should also think of it as a hindrance remover, and makes it immune for that. So for example, if you're playing against a Snorlax and you know the Snorlax is likely going to engage on somebody on your team, perhaps consider saving your heal bell to use on it once it's been engaged on. If the Snorlax has it stuck against a wall, that's a good time to use your heal bell. That's a good time to stop it from there. Those sorts of things. Obviously, if you're in a situation where the heal bell could take care of a status condition, but it's not particularly going to stop your teammate from like losing its life, then you shouldn't use it. You should hold it. Make sure to use it in situations where you can getting huge help from your teammate, or you're pre-using on them, depending on how long it lasts, but pre-using on them, expecting them to engage hard and potentially be stunned in the process. This would be particularly effective with a character like Garchomp. If you're trying to pocket a character like Cinderace, then make sure you're using it more as a defensive option. Yeah. So that's ideally the setup I would use. Helping Hand and Heal Bell is what I would recommend the most. However, if we're looking at the other moves, Egg Bomb could be quite powerful for like a solo carry kind of gameplay. It does have an explosive dealing damage, and it also knocks up enemies. So this could be used as a very effective tool to cancel enemy abilities, as a lot of abilities do get canceled by knockups. So use them to target, like, for example, a Crustle that's in the middle of using its X Scissor, or a Lucario that's powering up a Power Punch before they get the Power Up Punch Plus version that stops them from being knocked up. But use it to like kind of essentially dissect the enemy team with knockups and the stun with that. Also, of course, throw it into groups of people, because then you're getting way more value for your thing. Way more value for your usage of the Egg Bomb. Looking at Soft Boiled. Soft Boiled is going to be pretty much the same. It restores its own HP as well as the user's, which is interesting. It's interesting that Soft Boiled heals your own self, which might make Blissey somewhat of a tanky brawl character a little bit. And so make sure when you're using your heal pulse, your soft boiled, if you do end up going with it, that you're taking some damage for yourself too. And taking some damage as in engaging yourself too. So if you're, for example, fighting early in the lane with heal pulse, make sure you're fighting too. Make sure you're getting melee value out of it. Just because you're not technically the main damage dealer doesn't mean you want to not be taking advantage of the healing. Yes, that is most of what I would like to say about Blissey. With the ultimate, with the dash, you want to be making sure you're getting maximum value out of the ultimate. As I mentioned, when you use it, you dash immediately to the person you're trying to use it on, and it doesn't knock up through all of that. Ideally, it's fine to take yourself into a somewhat risky position to use it to knock them up. However, you don't want to be taking up too much damage, because you do tank a certain percentage of the damage that that the Pokemon that you use this ability on takes. So you could die in the process, which potentially might cancel the ability. I'm not entirely sure about that yet. We will find out. So yes, that's how you carry with this character. You're using it to pocket a Pokemon on your team, support them as much as possible, and just for a little in-game meta advice, when you're playing this sort of thing, you essentially want to find out what person on your team is carrying the hardest. Who has the highest level is an easy way to tell this. Who is the highest level in combination with who will do the most damage and which player you think on your team is the best. And essentially, you want to put a lot of your resources into them. So when using these abilities, particularly when using Heal Bell and Helping Hand and Bliss Assistance, make sure you're using it on that person that will carry your game the most. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this. If you liked it, make sure to give me a subscription, please. And like the video too, guys. I appreciate this so much. Thank you guys. Bye.